really wish someone was here to hear that. Oh my god, you're already here. Hi. Oh wait, let me fix my screen. I don't like how it's like overlapping, kind of. There we go. Let's do a little of that. Boom. Boom. Can I? Is that a sleigh? It might be. Ooh, wait, you guys, I figured out a way better way to do our screen. Oh, that's way better. I'm so excited I just figured that out. This is gonna be a good one. That was like a great way to start, by me figuring out that I can take it off and then hide like all the space in my bookmarks bar and shit. Because normally I would just do like presenter mode, but then I wouldn't be able to see the chat and you guys, so like that kind of defeats the whole fucking purpose of being here. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, clearly Nearpod doesn't make their service for streamers. It's almost like it's a educational software. McDonald's poutine. Do they have that there? My light is like a little too bright on me. There we go. Finally made it to a stream. 2 first-time chatters, both on the stream. Now it's not bright enough. In Canada they do. Damn, y'all got healthcare and poutine. I was banking on you being late, then you were on time. The only reason that I was on time is because I filmed an episode of a podcast. It was like a professional one where they asked me like questions about policy and I was like, I don't know, money's not real. So I was already at my desk because we were filming that from 6:15 to 7:15. So that's why I'm already here. I was banking on you being late. That's hilarious to me. I'm always late. Got my Chili's. I haven't had Chili's in weeks. Maybe I'll get Chili's on Saturday. I might. Hi, Quarter Life Crisis. Hello. I was thinking about you this morning, actually. I was driving to work, and I was like, I wonder how serious... I know Quarter Life Crisis is serious that I could get a job at her school, but I wonder if her administrators are serious. Because I was so tired driving to work today. Because yesterday... So this is why I wasn't here yesterday. My work, once a quarter, we basically just have like a fucking corporate day of vibes. Like they do panels, they do workshops, all that, and it's the whole day, and then we have a happy hour. So that was yesterday, and so I was not gonna leave work until like 7, and I was like, okay, I'd probably be late and I'd probably be extremely exhausted, so I wouldn't do a good job. And then I was like, Thursday, I'm already recording this podcast right before, so I'll just do 2 things. But yeah. Insomni Cats, oh my god, love the emoji use, or the emotes, whatever the fuck they're called. Throw me in, thank you for the subscribe. Callista Stud, hello, first stream. There's a lot of first stream. So happy to be here. Today is a dark day because I reapplied to work somewhere where someone threatened to stab me. Is that... I don't want to tell you what to do, but just like think long and hard about that. We have at least 1 opening next year and possibly a second one. I'm trying to be in my bag. I'm not into monetizing, like monetize your following. I'm just like, I just don't care. Like, I just don't. I really don't. And so I just like don't care. But I'm trying to do better at it in a way that feels genuine to me. Because I don't like brand deals. They feel degrading to me. But yeah, I'm trying to do it in a way that feels genuine so that I could potentially afford to go back to the classroom. I accidentally drank too much coffee today and over-caffeinated, so my body's all icky. How was your day? My day was okay. So let me tell you about my day. So it started off a little hectic because I was super tired from yesterday, and we had a happy hour, so I had a drink, and like, I just need to stop drinking alcohol, period, because every time I regret it so much and I am so fucking miserable the next day. So I was like really anxious, really nauseous, just like overall not feeling good. Yes, I can send the nearpod link again. And then I got to work, and for like, we have a helpline where like our people can call for help, and I was supposed to be on it for like 2 hours at the beginning of the day, and like, I don't want to get into the details of it, but it was a lot. Like, being on the helpline today was just like really stressful. So like, to not be feeling good and to be exhausted and then to have 2 hours at the beginning of my day be really stressful was hard. But then I had a meeting with my manager where I was like, I'm really stressed out and sad. And she was like, yeah, that's not okay. And she helped me. So it was like good, you know? Need a second monitor so I can have Nearpod and the chat. So Nearpod, I'll explain. Nearpod is an educational software where basically you can interact with my slides. So some people just watch and that's like great and fine. But at the end we play like a trivia game. So if you like have here, let me like actually put the directions up. So if you have like a phone with you, if you're watching this on TV or like you're around two devices or you're on a computer and it was like a split screen or something, you can go to this website or their app and then type in this code. I should start putting this in the stream instead. Is that more helpful than the link? You can do that and enter the code and then like my slides pop up on your screen and like there's some polls that you can vote in. You can add little pictures and then you get to play the trivia game. But like I said, I try and make it to where like you don't need to be on there to have a good time. So that's what Nearpod is. And even though Nearpod has rejected me from 5 different jobs. I think I'm a very strong candidate, but you know, whatever. Even though Nearpod has rejected me from many positions, they did give me my Nearpod Gold account for free, which was very nice of them. Nearpod don't deserve you at this point. So I think I might know what it is. There's a individual who works at Nearpod who worked for an organization that I don't love. And I voiced that to that organization. And I think maybe that's why I'm not getting that job there. Because that person had to hear me voice my discrepancies with that organization. But I always thought me and that person had a fine relationship. Like we were always very respectful to each other. They were always very kind to me. So like, I don't know if that's it, but I don't know, it could be. Look how long my hair is. I need to cut it. So I was supposed to cut it the other day, and then my hairstylist, I like walk to the salon because it's near my work. I walk over there, and there's a note on the door that she got hit by her scooter and all the appointments are canceled. So I was like, oh my God, are you okay? And I texted her, and she said she's fine, but I don't know if she's coming back to work or not. I don't really know. She's also a little bit like, you know. You should do that thing where you save your hairs like the girl on TikTok. My boyfriend always talks about how my hair is literally everywhere and how I shed. And he sweeps it up. Hey, everyone. Didn't you have to wait for the full moon? Yeah, but I don't really, like, that's the thing. It's like she got hit by a scooter and we have to go with the moon cycles, so it's tough. He's carrying your love with him. Or by her scooter. Like, she was on a scooter and a car hit her. If your hairstylist isn't a little crazy, what's the point? She's like a lot. She got hit on a scooter, not by a scooter, sorry. I got this for my AP US history topic years ago. I'm surprised. Love your podcast with Fraz. DM'd you some drama going on with my union in my district ongoing if you would like to check it out. Ooh, so put it in. If you want to. There's a link in my link tree where you can anonymously submit and it's on the podcast. I know I used to do that on here, but we're doing it on the podcast as well. So it just felt redundant to have 2 links for the exact same thing, like redundant and confusing. So yeah, submit it there if you want us to talk about it on the pod. I think I remember seeing your message. Even though I don't always reply to everybody, I like to read through them a little bit, 5 times. Yeah. My roommate has super long hair and mine is super short. I'm constantly finding her long ass hairs in my ass crack. Yeah, it'll happen. Does he still ask you why you have to take your braids out? No, he asked that one time. He just seemed confused. He's also bald. He just doesn't. And he's been bald, like, literally forever. That's just his look, you know? So I think he just, like, genuinely was confused. Because when he asked that, me and his sister both had, like, kind of similar hairstyles. Like, we both had 2 braids like that. And then I took mine out, and then she, like, didn't. And so he was like, why are you taking yours out? Like, if you got them around the same time. And so I get his confusion. He's bald. How was he to know? Bald king. That's our bald king. The United States Navy and how they operate with their own laws. Yeah, the fucking military has their own laws and court system and all of that shit. That's wild. Okay, so let's talk about the Iran Contra Affair. I also have some disclaimers. So one, I am from the South. The majority of my life, the way I heard this, people said Iran. So I'm making a conscious effort to say Iran because that's correct. And I know that that's correct, but I might slip up. And so I just want to apologize in advance for any mispronunciations. I'm talking fast. I'm sorry. I'll try my best, but I'm sure / assuming it'll happen at some point. So I just want to say I do know the correct pronunciation, Iran. If that's wrong, tell me. But yeah, when I learned about this part of the world in school, it was Iran, Iraq. So that's why, like, it's kind of hard when you've heard a word one way the majority of your life to, like, switch it super fast. You know, it's just the language. I'm trying. She's a Southern woman. I'm trying. Okay, so what are we learning today? The Iran Contra Affair. Basically, what happened is Congress said, don't give weapons to this group in Nicaragua. And then Reagan was like, what if we give it to Islamic fundamentalists who hate us for stuff we did over in the Middle East, and then use that money to finance the Contras? Which is basically what happened here. This meme explains the whole thing, but we're going to go a little more in depth in this. Also my other disclaimer, I might have made some typos. My nails were like breaking and super long when I made this, so I was really struggling to type. So some capitalization might be off. This is a country, this is a group of people, both of these should be capitalized. Sorry, I was trying to get through this. But did you learn about this in school? And if you want to vote in the nearpod, there's the way to do it. Or if you want to vote in the poll, I mean. We never talked about Reagan more than he was an actor. They were like, he was a great speaker, and that's all that matters. No, we didn't learn about this in school. So I learned about it, but the extent that I learned about it is like they showed that American Dad video. Like, that's really it. They just showed the American Dad video, and that was all. I went to school in Canada, and we only learned about how the U.S. loves to start war. Okay. Y'all popped off. Like, you're right. Not an American Dad video. Is that what it is? Is it American Dad? It's like that video. It's actually pretty accurate. I showed it to my students. It's like a song where they go through it with cartoons, and it's like not in depth, but it's just like a basic timeline. It's like a basic, hey, this happened. Like, just very surface level explanation. Who's who did what. That's all it really goes into. But it is good at doing that. I was going to show it to you, but I just got in trouble for copyright infringement on YouTube. Not in trouble. They just were like, hey, it's fine. What they do, I actually think this is a good way to handle it. They didn't take my video down, and I'm not in trouble, but the monetization doesn't go to me anymore. It goes to, like, the people I copyright infringed on, which, like, it was a Limp Bizkit song, so, like, that sucks, but as a concept, I like that rule. You know what I mean? Did you get in trouble for the Glee videos? No. So I don't know what triggers it. I really don't. It pisses me off that when we talk about the Middle East, we don't talk about their political system. Only we sent troops because freedom. I know. I'm kind of very ignorant and uneducated on the Middle East. When did you show Glee? A couple weeks ago. We were talking about Glee. So on YouTube, it's a thumbnail that's like purple, and Mr. Shoe is in the thumbnail, and the title of the video starts with the group chat. I don't remember when it was. It's in general not a good system. Limp Bizkit. Yeah, we were talking about Woodstock 99. So if you weren't here for that stream, I did a stream about Woodstock 99. So we were like watching it. And then I got copyright infringed for Limp Bizkit, which, like, of course, the one time I get in trouble on the internet, it's for something like that. Actually, that's just the only time I've gotten in trouble for stream stuff. I've gotten in trouble on TikTok a lot. I got in trouble on TikTok recently. Also, I had to delete the video I posted about AirPods because literally someone in the comments was like, I had an accommodation to wear headphones, and my teachers were so terrible to me and didn't let me. People like you are destroying children's lives and making them hate education. And I was like, I literally said I let kids have AirPods in sometimes. Like, it was just getting really nasty in a way that I've never had in my comment section. Like, my comment section traditionally is not nasty, but this one was just getting in a way I did not like. So I just deleted it because I don't really care. I literally had no idea you had a YouTube channel to now. All I do is share the streams on there. I don't make YouTube videos outside of that. That TikTok was so chill. I know, right? Like, it's literally just me talking about how I handled it and how, like, as a kid, I used to complain about the same thing. And people were being awful. They were like, you're disgusting. You just assume kids are like you and punish them because you hate yourself. That's what someone said. And I was like, y'all need to calm the fuck down. Like, y'all need a Xanax. I'm sorry. I'll fucking say that. Cancel me. Can you delete single comments, or did you have to delete the whole video? You can delete single comments, but that's just, it was going, so this is what I figured out, is like, once negative comments start, they're not going to get better because the algorithm's going to feed that. And I don't want to be constantly scrolling, reading things that are nasty and deleting them one by one. So if I feel like a video I made is not landing in a way that I wanted it to, and that the majority of the conversation around it is not productive and not relevant, I just delete it. Because I just don't think there's a way to come back from it. And like, I've seen a lot of other creators who will reply to the comments and try and explain themselves and stuff like that. But in my opinion, like, sometimes people are committed to not liking you and to being wrong. And it's not helpful for you to try and fix it. You're just hurting yourself because they've already decided that they're right and you're not going to change their mind. So that's kind of the way I view it around deleting specific comments. If someone says something negative, I usually don't delete it unless it's like harmful to other people. But if it's just getting to a place that it's people who don't follow me, people I don't interact with, people that are talking about things that are not relevant to what I was talking about, it's just like, why is it here? It's not bringing anything positive, so why is it here? Like, I'm here on the internet to have a good time and to have a good time with other people, so if something's creating a bad time for me, like, I'm just not going to do it. You know what I mean? I'm too cool to argue with 12-year-old boys. Yeah, the comment section was also majority teenagers, and, like, I love teenagers. Y'all know this. Not, like, in a weird way, in, like, an educational way, but I'm not going to, like, argue with kids online about their AirPods. You know what I mean? Because, like, when I argue with my students IRL about their AirPods, I feel like I'm doing something for them and, like, teaching them about, like, expectations within settings. Like, if you're in a work setting or if you're in a community setting, like, what's a way to show people you're paying attention and you're listening and you're, like, wanting to interact here and you're, like, you care about the task at hand. Like, I view it as that way, but on the internet, you can't do that in a comment section with a kid you don't know. So it's just, like, not helpful. You know what I mean? I made a TikTok about how my ex never did nice things for me, and someone commented that I should have communicated that and it was my fault. People project, like, people are literally projectors. Like, plug in their HDMI cable, because people are literally just projectors. Okay, let's actually get into what we were talking about. So, trigger warning, Ronald Reagan. This whole thing has to do with Ronald Reagan. So, the Iran Contra Affair was a secret U.S. arms deal that traded missiles and other arms to free Americans held hostage by terrorists in Lebanon, but also used funds from the arm deal to support armed conflict in Nicaragua. The controversial deal and ensuing political scandal threatened to bring down the presidency of Ronald Reagan. So here's a Time magazine. So this is like the overview of it, if you hadn't heard of it, because I feel like a lot of us didn't learn this in school. So this is the overview of kind of what's going on with this. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger so it's not like off. Okay. This is the overview of what's going on. So I'll read it again. A secret arms deal. Arms, I used to always do this. I'd be like, in my class, I'd be like, when I say arms, do I mean my arms? And they would be like, stop doing that. And I'd be like, and they would get so mad every time. They'd be like, no, you mean guns. And I'd be like, yeah, I mean my guns. And they literally hated it. Every time I was the only one laughing. Every single time. Okay, so anyway, the Iran Contra Affair was a secret arms deal that traded missiles and other arms to free some Americans held hostage by terrorists in Lebanon. So they were like, hey, we'll give you guns if you give us our homies back. And then they also used the money for the guns to support armed conflict in Nicaragua, because there was like a newer government and they were supporting like the other government. So like a fight within Nicaragua that had nothing to do with us, they were like funneling money into, is essentially what happened. I got a 9/11 email from the university president about good guys and terrorists. Oh, God. My friend is named after Ronald Reagan, and her parents made her read 8 books about him made her read books about him when she was like 8. That's a very weird. It's a very creepy and very weird, and I don't like it. I've never heard give us heavy artillery as a ransom, but kind of fair. I got a uni email about the Queen dying. So I was at work when the Queen died, and I was like making a lot of jokes about it. What happened to we don't negotiate with terrorists? What happened to integrity? You know what I mean? But anyway, I was at work when the Queen died, so I was like joking around and like speaking in a British accent and like just being generally unprofessional and disrespectful, if we're being honest. And then me and my coworkers went into a conference room, and it's like a Google Meet one, so there's a camera, because we had to join a department meeting, so like every department does that, and we're all just in our little rooms on a video call. And so we join it, and I'm like making fun of the situation, and then someone on the call was crying. And they're like, "Can you believe the Queen died?" And I was like, yeah, oh my God, this is terrible. I had to switch it up literally so fast. Did you guys hear about the king's anger issues and outbursts lately? Yes, the fucking pen swatting. He was like, because there was like a little fucking thing on his desk. He literally had nothing in his hands except a pen, and it was something like maybe this big, and it was sitting like, I wish you could see this. It was sitting on his table. He walks up to the table, and instead of just being like, see, I have like one hand and I can still do it. Instead of just like scooting it over, he looks over and is like, get that out of here. Get it out of here. And it was like a ink pen holder pencil fucking desk thing. Like, I don't know exactly what it was, but that's what it kind of looked like. And he was like, ugh. And he just kept doing it. Like, I would get it if it was like, oh, they slowed down one motion, it's a weird angle, he was sneezing, like, whatever. I get it. You catch people in bad moments. But it was so long. Like, literally, he, like, swatted it, and then no one did anything. And then he got even more aggressive with the swatting, and then the guy was, like, trying to move it. Like, it looked kind of fragile. I don't know. It's the fucking monarchy. It's probably, like, a gazillion years old. It looked kind of fragile, so the guy's, like, moving it, and the king's like, ugh, get away. And, like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, just shut up with those sausages. All my homies definitely hate King Charles. I just think it's, like, really not aesthetic that they have a king for, like, a long-ass fucking time. Also, I think they should have a rule that so, think about it. The fucking monarchy rules, we're so off topic. The monarchy rules, it's like, when you fucking die, next in line comes onto the throne. Ellen Not Too Generous, hi, thanks for subscribing. So when you if you're the fucking queen, king, whatever, you die, and then next in line comes up. When that rule was created, people lived to be like 37 if they were super fucking healthy. So it like made sense that like the next person is not gonna be, oh my God. Thank you so much for the community subscribes. Thank you. I'm gonna cry. That was so nice. Okay, back to the monarchy. So you fucking die, and then the next in line is like a pretty young person. Not like a pretty young person, but like a relatively young person. So they're like ready to lead. They have a bunch of energy, you know, it's like the vibes. But now that oh my God, the people using the emotes because they got to subscribe. Also, they got a stretch one. But now the fucking monarchy has like Black Mirror healthcare, and they probably get like blood transfusions all the time. Like, none of that blood is theirs. I'm sorry. There's no way those bodies are keeping them alive. That is science at work. But anyway, now they live forever. So there should be a rule. Oh my God, you're giving out more subscriptions, and it's just like really kind of you. This is literally making my day. Oh my God. So that like now they live to be fucking 1 million. So I think they should have a rule that's like, if the next person in line is over the age of retirement, they get skipped. Because this is Misredacted, emotional, unlocked. It takes a lot for me to get emotional, but also it takes nothing. I don't know how both is possible. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, so now all these fucking countries have to print their new money. They have to print money, and then this little sausage fingered dude is gonna die in like 10 fucking years, and then they're gonna have to do it again. Like, this is just wasteful. If, like, I'm big on efficiency. Efficiency and logic are extremely important to me. And us printing new money is very dumb. And do I like the men that are on American money? No, we should pick different people. But America figured it out with picking dead people, because you don't have to reprint it because they're dead. Like, we should pick different ones because most of them were terrible. Are they ever going to put Harriet Tubman on the money? I know they said they would, and then they just kind of like never brought it up again. I feel like they just said that to make us shut the fuck up, and they knew they were never going to bring it up again. What's happening with that? What's going on there? Oh my god, the emotes! If Camilla refused to take the title of Princess Wales, she should refuse the title of Queen. Wait, she refused that title? I don't know that much about them. Imagine if Trump was on the dollar bill. Ew. At this point, they should just keep Lizzo on there. Remember how Andrew Jackson was meant to be replaced? Yeah, what's going on with that? My friends in Canada's first reaction was, oh no, this guy better not be on my money. Also, someone said it's really cringy to say God save the king, and I could not agree more. Like, God save the queen, that feels inspiring. Like, that I feel like women supporting women. Like, that feels good to say. But God save the king, it's like, I don't give a fuck about that motherfucker. Like, I'm suffering here in poverty. I'm not suffering in poverty. I'm like quite literally the definition of middle class. Step down, used to be upper middle class, inflation be hidden. But anyway, that saying, oh, God save the king, that's degrading. I feel like less of a person saying that. Did you see they actually say hip hip hooray for the king? That shit was so embarrassing. That was so embarrassing for them. I was like, y'all let people film this? I was like, this is embarrassing. Like, I'm sorry. I think it would be less degrading to, like, do anything else. Like, I would rather be naked in front of a stage of people than have to wear that fucking fuzzy outfit and be like, hip hip, hooray! Like, that's so embarrassing. Y'all are not a country. That's not real. That cannot be real. That cannot be real. Quarter life crisis, do not get me banned on this app. Princess Diana live stream. Maybe. I don't know that much about her, but I kind of want to learn. Is anyone else weirded out by the USA lowering our flags for the queen of people we rebelled against? Who lowered their flags? Not me. Also, the other day, someone posted that Chick-fil-A had the Chick-fil-A flag over the American flag. It wasn't viral. It was like a Facebook friend of mine, and that's like very not Chick-fil-A. I was like, someone fuck up and is going to get fired over this. Joe Biden made all of the flags go down. All of them are at half-mast. Flags were lowered for... So, I don't know, because, like, it is weird, but they've done a bunch of stuff like that for us, which I guess makes it less weird, you know? Like, it's a partnership, you know what I mean? Yes, I promise I am normal, just tired. No, you're better than normal, because you gifted so many subscriptions. You gifted 10. You're a legend. You're an icon. I work for the state agency and our flags were lowered. Interesting. They're like our mommy. Okay. So back to Ronald Reagan, away from the Queen. So, one thing I find hilarious, but not in a funny way, in like a sad way, is that we have talked about so many things with Ronald Reagan, and every single one of them, it's like, this threatened to bring down the Reagan presidency and tarnish his name forever. And like, no, it didn't. No, it didn't. Like, it literally didn't. I wish it had. Literally, I wish it had. And I really think Ronald Reagan made a deal with somebody. Like, the way, I sure hope it does, Republican leaders are like roaches. They can live through anything, including nuclear warfare. That's why they're not afraid of it. Reagan tarnished his own legacy just fine. But that's the thing. Reagan, like, barely tarnished his legacy. Like, that's what I mean. Everyone, every time. This will cost Ronald Reagan his presidency and his legacy. Men in the year 2022. I remember one time, I was with my ex-boyfriend, which, like, bleh, 0 stars. But we were walking around like kind of near the Georgia Tech and Georgia State's campuses, and there was like a Reagan Bush flag in someone's window, and I was like 0% surprised by that because I grew up in the South. People like always do that shit. It was like a Reagan Bush 84, just like the one here. And he saw it and was like, what the fuck? And thought it was the weirdest thing. And I was like, no, that's really normal, dude. The 17-year-olds on college campuses wearing Reagan Bush 84 hats topped on their head with a lip-in and Justin Bieber haircuts. Ugh. God. There's still people saying he was great for the economy, even though he literally tanked it. No, I don't get it. I don't get it. So I want to give you context of this time period. So this crisis happened. When was this? Why can I never remember literally anything? Oh, it didn't even say on there. When was this? It's going to say it later. When was Iran Contra Affair? What year was this? 1985. Okay, that's what I thought. So, context of the time period. This happened in 1985. And this is during the Cold War. The Cold War lasted from 47, so the end of World War II, to 1991. Which is when like the Soviet Union fell or whatever. But in my opinion, it never ended. Like we still beef with Russia today, so I really don't think it ended. But I think it's like kind of terrible that the country like lived through a war, like very much trauma, very much not a good time. The US was like unwell, and everyone in Europe was unwell. Like people were suffering, and then it finally ended, and the US and Soviet Union were like, what if we hated each other for 45 years? That would be a really funny bit. You know what I mean? Like, y'all couldn't just relax? Like, y'all aren't fucking tired? Like, do y'all not get tired? When people say they're fiscally conservative, it's like, just say you have a Reagan shrine. It's quicker. My mom is a Democrat and still talks about how Reagan was good for the economy because he was able to manipulate the masses that well. Can we fix that and say the Cold War is still happening? I did. I said it never ended. It's literally on there. Off topic, but do y'all remember when North Korea threatened to nuke Guam and Hawaii a few years ago? I would love to, like, talk to people living in North Korea. Like, I want to meet them. I'm very curious. I have things I would like to ask them. I want to, like, show them news footage of North Korea and be like, thoughts? But I don't know. I don't know what it's like there. You know what I mean? I love when you guys tell me to read books, but I also hate it because I can't read. There's always 6 degrees or less between our modern capitalist hell and Reagan. Someone posted that tweet like on TikTok, like a screenshot of it with like music, and everyone keeps tagging me in it. Okay, Leah Michelle. No, that's what like, I feel her for that, you know? Like I get that struggle. And you know, I've chosen to be open about my struggles, and I've chosen to be open about the fact that I'm illiterate, but Leah Michelle isn't there yet. And I think we need to respect her journey, because like if you've been there, you've been there. You know what I mean? Have you heard of the pro-North Korean government leftist teenagers on Twitter? They're also pro-CCP. I have seen the pro-Korean, North Korean leftist, not all of them are teenagers. I also saw a pro-Venezuela, like, Venezuela's economy's great, everyone's well-fed, and I was like, I'm not an expert on Latin American politics, but the people I know that left Venezuela beg to differ. Just wondering. Yeah, if I was a dictator, people without a fully developed frontal lobe wouldn't be allowed to tweet. Might backfire since kids are hilarious. Twitter would be way worse, but the youth would be much healthier. I'm very sure of that. Okay, so if you don't know what the Cold War is, the Cold War is an ongoing political rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union and their allies that developed after World War II. So the example of how the Cold War never ended is what's going on in Ukraine right now. So some countries are very strongly backing Ukraine, and Russia is very strongly not happy about that. That's an example of like the division. No, thank you, not interested. 9, subscribed. Thanks. It seems like you're a little bit interested. Okay, so here's a very good visual representation of the Cold War, because basically World War II ended, and then the U.S. was like, I want to be the biggest daddy government. The USR was like, I also want to be the biggest daddy government. You gave out another 10 subscribers. You're literally carrying this channel. I hope you know that. Like, you're carrying Ellen Not DeGeneres. Thank you so much. She's literally like Oprah. You get a subscription. You get a subscription. You get a subscription. Okay. Ellen Not DeGeneres, more like Oprah is Oprah. Oprah, you are Oprah. Oprah. I want to fix this GIF. Oh, wait, I can't. I want it to have a transparent background, but it doesn't let me do that with GIFs in Canva. And I like how the hat kind of sparkles, if you notice. Thank you for giving out the subs. I really appreciate that. But anyway, during the Cold War, the USSR was like, I want to be daddy government, and I want to, like, encourage and help all of these countries that want to be communist. And then the US was like, no, I want to be daddy government, and I want to encourage all these countries to want to be capitalist. So that's what the beef was over, because the Soviet Union is trying to, like, ensure that there's more communist countries so they have trading partners, they can grow, all those things, like have resources. And then the US is doing the same thing. They want there to be other capitalistic countries so they could trade, make money, have resources, all that stuff. So it's just about self-interest of kind of spreading your thing to have a bigger community, to be more powerful, is to me what it's all about. Why does anyone want to be daddy government? It sounds like a lot of work. That's what I'm saying. I would never want to be president. I think I would be great at Congress. So, like, the way Congress was supposed to work is the way that I would be in Congress. So the founding fathers, they wanted Congress to be like, you come here and you do Congress and then you go back and then you're not in Congress and you, like, do something else. Like, they weren't really in favor of these super lifetime politicians and stuff. They also used to fight each other. I think we should bring that back. So, like, I would go be in Congress, and then when I'm not in Congress, like, y'all ain't gonna hear shit out of me. I'm gonna be chilling, not at these fucking rallies and, like, with donors and shit. I'm gonna be chilling on my farm. Bring back duels. Misredacted would kill Congress. Y'all are hyping me up a little too much. So at the happy hour, even though I only had one drink, I'm a lightweight, I was like talking about how I'm going to run for Congress to all my coworkers, and they thought I was joking, thankfully, but I was like, no, I'm serious. The way you said founding fathers, the founding fathers. Like, if I met a founding father, I would not fangirl at all. I would be like, hi. What, like, do you want the Wi-Fi password? Like, what's going on? They're not real. State legislator queen? Maybe. You think there be a woman president? One might say there should be exclusively women presidents, you know what I mean? People talk about the founding fathers, they just mean Reagan. They do. I said that, and I'm going to stand by it. Okay, but you're in Florida, you could do it. So when I was telling my coworkers, this is what I told them. I said, this is my dream. If I ever have money from not working, like, I don't have to have a job and I just, like, have money, I would move to rural Florida, buy a piece of land, put a very, very nice double wide trailer or, like, ranch style house, like, not crazy, but I'd decorate it nice and it'd be like aesthetic and vibes, like a ranch style house, put in a pool, and just be there. And then I would teach part-time at, like, a rural Florida high school. I would teach part-time, and then I'd run for Congress, and I would just, like, be on my land in the middle of nowhere. Ron DeSantis is shaking. I think Obama is trying to come back after Biden. Baby, they can't do that. As a former teacher, you can only be president twice, and he was already president twice, so he's not allowed to be president again. It's giving Jimmy Carter. Dude, run a rural campaign, that's my specialty. Ellen Not DeGeneres, you're already clearly great at fundraising via giving out the subs, so I guess that's just you giving out, yeah. But anyway, let's get deeper into this. It's so hard to focus because you guys are just such a fucking good time. So, when Reagan was on the campaign trail in 1980, he was on a very anti-communist vibes. Why would you need to be on rural land? I live in a big city and I'm just kind of tired of it and I want something different. I also, like, I've never taught in a rural school and I think that that's, like, a really unique opportunity, and I'd love to, like, live in a different community that I haven't lived in before, and I think I would just enjoy it. And I think I'd be able to, like, serve those students well, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. I think it's good. Like, I think this is my prediction for my life, is that I thought you had to be rural for Congress. Also that, it would be a lot easier to win in a rural area. It'd be so much, that's part of the decision making too. It'd be so much easier to win in a rural area. I also think it would be a lot easier to like gain community trust in a rural area, because a lot of them are more like tight-knit in a way. Rural students need teachers. Yeah, exactly. And it's not an environment I've taught in, and I think kids need to be exposed to adults who have lived and worked in environments that are very different from the kids' environment. I think it's really good for them to meet people who've done lots of different things. So I think it would be cool to teach in a rural community, because I have lived in an extremely rural community, but I've also lived in very urban communities. So I just think it would be kind of a cool experience for like me and them. A pretty leftist state level congressperson won Wyoming because she went door to door. Yeah, I think like really that would be the move. This is my campaign strategy room. But it's Illinois, so you win some, you lose some. I couldn't handle the teacher politics in a rural school. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk more about Ronald Reagan, not my congressional campaign. But Ronald Reagan was extremely anti-communist, and a lot of the like core sentiment around his campaign in 1980 was about how he was going to aggressively defend the world against communism. So like, are we surprised this happened? Like, no. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Who said that? Is that Maya Angelou? Or is that somebody else? I love that quote, and I can never remember who said it. You know what sucks is that my favorite quote is said by someone I don't like. My favorite quote ever is by Hillary Clinton. Are there worse people? Of course there's people worse than Hillary Clinton. Are there people better? A lot of them. That's my thoughts on Hillary Clinton. But she said my favorite quote ever, which is, "There's no such thing as other people's children." I love that quote. That is like really how I live my life, is there's no such thing as other people's children. Like, you should be kind to all children. If you're in power, your decisions should be in a way because you care about other people's children. Like, I think it just encompasses what we need more of in this country. Okay, but anyway, also during this time, the CIA is the CIA is continuously screaming, crying, throwing up that Hillary said that. I know, right? Okay, so the CIA is also really interfering in other governments. Basically what would happen is if there was a socialist or communist democratically elected government in power, the CIA would support any like violent uprisings against that government entity. So like, let's say I'm in blah blah country. I don't want to use a real example. I'm in blah blah country. I'm a socialist. I got elected to president. It was a fair election. I won. I barely won though, but it was a fair democratic election. There's a group uprising that wants to remove me from power. They don't like me. They voted against me. They're violent. They're armed, but it's a not huge group of people. The CIA was seeking out groups like that and funding them with weapons, money, training, advising, tons of stuff to help them like strategically remove these democratically elected governments that were much more left-leaning in blah blah country. I saw a shirt that said the highest award in journalism is being killed by the CIA. Do you think they watch this? Me, I can fix him. The CIA, I can make him worse. That might be the stream of the night, or the comment of the night, I mean. Okay, so basically that's the context of the time period. So Reagan doctrine and the political climate of the time. The Iran Contra Affair, also known as Scandal and Iran Gate, may not have happened if it wasn't for the political climate. Ronald Reagan won the White House in 1980, but in 1982, they no longer had a Republican majority in Congress. So just to give you a little civics lesson, we have checks and balances. If the president and Congress are not the same party, it can be very difficult to get stuff done because Congress doesn't really want to pass things that the president wants to pass. So presidents really want Congress to be on their side because then they are able to work together instead of against each other. Even though they're all in the fucking government, so it's their job to work together. That's literally what you get fucking paid for. But anyway, so Reagan's first 2 years of his first term, because remember, presidential elections are every 4 years. But we have elections every 2 years where like different Congress seats are up. I'm not going to get into the details of that. But basically, 1980, Republican Congress, 1982, no longer a Republican Congress. This is extremely common because usually, like, think about it. If you're voting for Republican presidents, you're probably going to vote for Republican Congress people. But 2 years later, when you're not voting for president, maybe you'll change your mind because you're not happy with the way things are going. You like somebody else now, whatever. So it's usually common for a president to, on their first cycle, like when they get elected, have congressional matching to their party, I guess that's how you should say that. And then when the mid-year, or not the mid-year, what's it fucking called? Midterms? The midterms come up, then a lot of times it flips the other way because people are like, I still don't like it here, so I'm going to vote for somebody else. That's what happens a lot. The CIA, I support the government's rights, kind of, but more importantly, I support the government's wrongs. Oh my God. It's going to be hard to pick like the top chat of the night. It's hard to screenshot them because then you guys move. There we go. Okay, I got it. Okay, so these results would complicate the president's agenda because during his campaign for the White House, he promised to assist anti-communist insurgencies around the globe. This is what I was saying. Supporting anti-communist like insurgencies, rises against the government. Like January 6th, that's an insurgence. This is the so-called Reagan doctrine, faced a political hurdle after the midterm elections. So context on Nicaragua. This is Nicaragua. It's in Central America. It's between Honduras and Costa Rica. I'm not super educated on it. They speak Spanish. I've had Nicaraguan food. I really like it. I've never been there. One of my friends grew up there, so that's why I know a little bit. But this is where it is. So again, a country that is not a part of the U.S., is not bordering the U.S., not really has that much to do with us. They're their own country. I would also like to add redistricting happened that year too. Ooh, interesting. Communism, those damn people that want everyone to be equal. How dare they? Okay, so, I'm not going to give a ton of information about Iran or Nicaragua. I want to really focus on Reagan's actions throughout this specific event, and I want to stay like on one thing. We could easily talk tons about either one of those countries. Those could be completely their own topics. So I wanted to share that this is a bit of an oversimplification of the situations in each country, just because I want to stay focused on what's going on in the US and with Reagan for today. I also wanted to say I'm not a subject expert on this. When it comes to global politics, that's not something that's really in my educational background. I majored in sociology. It was very U.S. focused. And this is not something I don't have a map, or the issues in these two respective countries are things I don't have a huge opinion on back then or today, in regards to their government, who's in power, what's right, what's wrong, the elections, who is who. I don't have a huge opinion on it because I don't know a ton about it enough to have an opinion on it. I've never lived there. I've never been there. So I don't think it's mine to be like, this is the right thing to do. But when it's Ronald Reagan, like, that's my country, so I can talk shit. You know what I mean? So I try to give that little disclaimer before I go into the brief context about these situations. So some context in Nicaragua. Sorry. The Contras were a right-wing rebel groups that were active throughout this time in opposition to the Marxist, who's Sandinista junta, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, of the National Reconstruction government. So there was a revolution and a Marxist is now in power. So just how the United States had a revolution and created their own government, Nicaragua did the exact same thing and they have a Marxist in power. That is who led the revolution. This is what I mean when I say, like, it's another country's business. Like, it's not, that's my opinion on it. I'm kind of an isolationist. Like, I don't think it's good to be involved in other people's business unless they ask you to be. And that's exactly the opposite of what we did here. Taking notes so I can understand my communist engineering podcast. I'm very intrigued by that. Communist engineers. T. Crystal. Glad we're all on the same page. Okay, so the Nicaraguan Revolution encompassed rising opposition to a dictatorship, the Somoza dictatorship in the 1960s and 70s, and the campaign was led by the Sandinista National Liberation Front to oust the dictatorship. And then they created their own government. So that's all the context I'm going to give on it. Like I said, I don't want to get super into the details because we could talk about it for hours. Oh, hydrate. Thank you. I haven't not had enough water today. All my straws are dirty. I need to clean them. Okay. So Reagan's obsession with Nicaragua, shortly after taking office in 1981, because remember, you get elected in November and then you become president in January. So your actual daddy president time doesn't start till a couple months later. You have a couple months just to like vibe, I guess. So Reagan decided that he would do everything possible to overthrow the pro-communist regime in Nicaragua. So he regularly sent Congress requests seeking appropriations to support the anti-communist contras. So for 2 years, Congress was like, sure, daddy, here's your money. Here's your guns. Do whatever you want, because it was a Republican Congress to a Republican president. So they were supporting the Republican president's agenda, essentially, is what's happening here. But then it became known that the CIA had been mining the harbors there, which is not good. The CIA became known that had been mining the harbors, and Congress realized that if the CIA explosives destroyed Soviet ships, it would create an international incident. So just because like the CIA was being quite reckless with the situation, also Big Fast Car, thanks for subscribing, because the CIA was being really reckless with the situation, that's why our Congress was like, we're not going to fund you anymore because this could get really bad really fast. So like, if anything, Congress was being still really chill about it. Like they weren't like, hey, not our business, stop funding violence. They were just like, hey, this could start a world war, so we're going to shut it down. Like, quite literally the most reasonable reason to shut something down that, like, you'd feel like everyone would be on the same page with. However, Reagan was completely undaunted, and he continued his quest to overthrow the leftist regime. The CIA, oops, my bad, accidentally dropped these mines, but ignore them, please. The U.S. watching other countries figure their shit out. Looks like you're experiencing some big emotions. Are you having a big feeling, friend? In response to the president's activities in Nicaragua, the Democrats passed the Boland Amendment, which restricted the activities of the CIA and the Department of Defense in foreign conflicts. So this amendment was specifically aimed at Nicaragua because basically Ronald Reagan was doing fuck shit. So the Democratic Congress was like, we're not just going to let you be doing fuck shit. That's not okay with us. We're going to pass a law against that. So it could not have been more explicit that he was not to get involved. It restricted their activities. It said, shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down. But Reagan had a big crush on the Contras. He described them as the moral equivalent of the founding fathers. My favorite thing about this statement is that it could be either an amazing compliment or the biggest insult, depending on who said it. Like, if I said this, I'm not pleased. You know what I mean? Like, if I said this, I'm talking shit. But much of their funding also had come from the Nicaragua's cocaine trade, which is also why Congress passed the Boland Amendment, because they were like, hey, these people are drug dealers. We're doing the war on drugs right now. So, like, that's not really a good look for us. So we're just going to, like, stop fucking with them because they traffic a lot of cocaine to the United States. So, like, I did look up, like, their cocaine trade, and it was in LA, but it's so much of a different topic and so complicated and, like, involved that I didn't want to get into it because it's fucking crazy, but I want to do a separate stream about it. Actually, let me add that to my list right now. We're going to add it. Doop. I came up with some more stream ideas. Do you want to hear my stream ideas? Oh, actually, we'll do it at the end. Sorry. ADHD is popping off. What did I say I was adding? Oh, cocaine, trade, CIA, Los Angeles. Perfect. Is this where Reagan got crack to pour into poor communities? Like that and some other stuff. It's like a whole thing. Okay, so anyway. Still, the president instructed his national security advisor, Robert McFarlane, this will come back later, this is important, he instructed Robert McFarlane to find a way to assist the Contras, regardless of the cost, political or otherwise. This feels very direct to me. That feels like a direct order. That's like, I don't care if it's illegal. Fucking figure it out. We're helping them. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty direct. So, moving to the Middle East. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, where the U.S. relations with many nations were strained to the breaking point, two regional powers, Iraq and Iran, were engaged in a bloody conflict. At the same time, Iranian-backed terrorists were holding hostage 7 Americans in Lebanon. Reagan delivered another ultimatum to his advisors: find a way to bring the hostages home. In 1985, McFarlane sought to do just that. Again, the same guy that he said, fucking figure out a way to like help our little cocaine dealing Contras in their anti-communist fight. Same guy was told to figure out both of these situations. He said, go figure it out. Oh my God, Stokely, I think I need to change my work schedule for your lives. Normally I do Wednesdays, but this week I had to work, so Thursday. Okay, so McFarlane is in charge of fixing both of these. He told Reagan that Iran had approached the United States about purchasing weapons for its war against Iraq. So Iran has been like, we'd love to buy a gun, we'd love a tank, we'd love a bomb, we're in a war, can we buy from you? Because when it comes to buying weapons, the U.S. is like, I'm trying to think of an analogy. Like, I need to think of a good one. Give me a second. When it comes to buying weapons, the United States is like the Lululemon of workout clothes. You know what I mean? Like, if Lululemon is to workout clothes, that's what the U.S. is to weapons dealing. It's like the top of the top. They have everything. It's expensive. It's high tech. It's the best stuff out there. It's the best in the game, Lululemon. You know what I mean? I can't really afford Lululemon, so I don't shop there. But I do have some stuff. It's very nice. They give out weapons like Oprah. That too, we make money and we also give them away for free. Depends who you are. Probably because the spotlight was on them, so they're asking a ton of questions about their safety. I don't know what that was. Bro, my stepdad was stationed in Lebanon. This is making so much sense why he's a Reagan guy. This is shade, but Hassan could never. Wait, Hassan could never what? Meme, guy in a spacesuit looking at Earth with another guy behind him. Is it a good year to be a defense contractor? Always has been. That might be the one. Jellyfish Spine, you are on fucking fire tonight, I must say. Okay, so anyway, that's the current situation. We are not allowed to trade with Iran at this time. The reason we are not allowed to trade with Iran at this time is because there is an embargo. Because there were a lot of hostages, to be specific, 52, that were held for over a year in Iran. So that is why we were not allowed to trade with them, because we were like, hey, you did us dirty, so we're not friends with you anymore, and we don't want to trade with you. So that's why it's not so simple for us to just be like, yeah, we can sell you guns the way we could to, like, France. You know what I mean? I'm doing well in the chat is both normal and good want to achieve. Hip hip hooray. Y'all are funny. You know that? Has anyone ever told you that? Okay, so this is a situation in regards to our relationship with these countries in the Middle East. Again, the political situations there are being very, very oversimplified, but that's just not what we're getting into right now. Is this the hostage situation different from the one Jimmy Carter was involved in? This is the Jimmy Carter one. The old one, that's why we have the embargo, is the Jimmy Carter one that he never solved. Like, Reagan is the one who ended up freeing them. So, this is what you were talking about, the Jimmy Carter one. No, Jimmy Carter was not held hostage. Jimmy Carter was president. Jimmy Carter was president when this happened. So in 1979, Jimmy Carter was president when these hostages were being held. I think this is part of why he lost, because he was not able to resolve this because he was a very peaceful man and didn't want to be like contributing to war and stuff. So he didn't really have any like chips on the table. But anyway, people fucked with Reagan for this shit, because in 1981, he freed these hostages like minutes into being president. So people really fucked with him for that. So, like, that's part of why he's so popular, too. Because he came in and was like, I'm going to do something flashy, I'm going to do something sexy, and I'm going to do something hot. I'm going to free the hostages. 15 minutes in, you free hostages that have been hostage for over a year. Like, no one can look at me and tell me that that's not, like, coming in hot energy. Like, I can see why people were excited about that. You know what I mean? So now let's get to the arms deal. Reagan was manic, prove me wrong. So now let's get to the arms deal. So we're back in 1985. So again, for context, we're back in 1985. This is where we are. Reagan's security advisor has been told to solve two problems. One problem, free these hostages. Second problem, help the Contras. That is the charge that's being given to Mr. McFarland. That's what the president has told him to do. Reagan freeing the hostage. Oh my God. Okay, so McFarland told Reagan that Iran had approached the United States about purchasing weapons for the war against Iraq. Although several members of Reagan's administration opposed it, including the Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense. So these two motherfuckers were like, that's a terrible idea. We're not going to do that. McFarland argued that the arms deal with Iran would not only secure the release of the hostages, but help the United States improve relations with Lebanon, providing the country with an ally in a region where it desperately needed one. So it's just like a lot going on here. And aside from that, the arms deal would secure funds that the CIA could funnel to the Contras. This is the part that bothers me the most. It's like, you're fucking with two groups that you're not supposed to be fucking with at the same time. Like, at the same fucking time. The throat goat teaching kids how to get crack over there in the corner. Have fun with your illegal shit, honey. For fucking real. So, yeah. So they want to secure the funds and secretly funnel them to the insurgency in Nicaragua. So with the backing of McFarland and the CIA director, Reagan pushed ahead with the trade over the objections of Weinberger and Schultz, who, again, that is the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense right here. Nicaragua was Reagan's sneaky link. The Contras. Who was the side chick? God. It's giving being home alone and answering the door when your mom explicitly told you not to. What's classy if you're rich and trashy if you're poor? Starting a war? Oh my God. Oh my God. I feel like Iran is the side. I think it is because, like, the way he was talking about the Contras, he's like, they're like the founding fathers. They're, like, so cute. They're so sexy. I love what they're doing. Like, I love their energy. I love their uniform. I love everything about it. And then with Iran, he was just kind of like, I want my fucking hostages. I want a friend. Like, let's move it along. He seemed less passionate. You know what I mean? Okay, so moving on. Absolutely no one. And then just no one. Absolutely no one. And then American leaders do this. Like, do you think this is what the American people wanted? Do you think this is what the American people are going to bed at night thinking? Do you think this is what they want? This is what your priorities should be? The Congress were trade money. Because, like, this is really how it was. I think that this is live footage of Ronald Reagan in the Oval Office. The Contras in Iran are both side chicks. The evangelical Christian fascists are his main bitch. Okay, so democratically elected officials in Congress. Because, again, like, Chris was recently elected. Congress passed this law that specifically said you cannot interfere. And the CIA and Reagan really just ignored that. Are you going to be playing any clips of his voice? Because I don't know if I can handle that. No, I'm going to read quotes, but I will not be playing him. This is my platform, not his, you know what I mean? Ronald Reagan and the CIA, they do what they want to do. They really could not be bothered. So the arms deal goes public. A Lebanese newspaper was the first to report it. Obviously, they're closer. An American newspaper is not going to report on this. So at that time, 1,500 American missiles had been sold to Iran for $30 million. 3 of the 7 hostages in Lebanon were also released, although the Iran-backed terrorist group there later took 3 more American hostages. So it's just a mess. Again, it's just a mess. I don't have a 100% understanding of it, but this is what happens when you get involved with complicated, convoluted centuries-long conflicts. It's fucking messy. Don't get involved with that shit if you don't need to get involved with that shit. Because it's messy. And more people, if you have a dramatic-ass, messy-ass situation, more people will never improve it. You need to get less people involved. You need to be trying to flush people out of the drama, not bring people into it. Ronald Reagan can lie to Congress as a treat. Little treason as a treat. Okay, so this was well into Reagan's second term. So he never had to have an election after this. So yeah, by that time, 1,500 missiles had been sold for $30 million. They had more hostages there. And Reagan initially denied that he had negotiated with Iran or the terrorist. This is a quote from him. He said, "In spite of the wildly speculative and false stories of arms for hostages and alleged ransom payments, we did not, repeat, did not trade weapons or anything else for hostages, nor will we." That was in 1986 that he said that. Iran got a small loan of 1,500 missiles. Reagan had senioritis, so he decided to fuck around. Fuck around and found out. So, do we think Reagan was lying, or do we think Reagan knew he was lying when he said that shit? Here's the next one. Hydrate, thank you. Do we think Reagan knew he was lying? Because he's obviously lying, in my opinion. There's a hair that's like stuck on me. Do we think he knew he was lying? Reagan had dementia. Exactly. So your options here are, he knew he was lying. He got up there and he said, I am going to lie today. I am going to tell something that's not the truth. It is a lie. That's an option. Or he fully meant it, or he convinced himself he wasn't lying. I personally think C. I think that people that are president are so fucking narcissistic and everyone around them is a yes man that they rationalize everything to themselves and will be saying lies and they believe their own fucking lies. They really do. Like, I think they're not lying to us in their mind. That's like my opinion, like from a psychological perspective about it, is that like it is a lie. If he did some self-reflection, he might realize that. But I think in the moment, these people like convince themselves. Trump with those COVID charts. No, literally, that's what I mean. Like, they convince themselves that this isn't a different reality. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, well, if everyone knew what I was going through, it's actually fine. Like, they really, really convince themselves. I'm drinking my water. Ew. My hair is like all these little tiny hairs. He's sure. It's giving my narcissistic mother. He's an actor. Exactly. He's an actor. He convinced himself. It's like when method actors get too into their role and you're like, it's just a movie. Remember that. It's just a movie. I need to rearrange in here, I think. Okay. Anyway, moving on. When they ask you why the Contras have CIA manuals on how to carry out terroristic attacks. This motherfucker, you know what I mean? It's like, did you think people weren't going to find out? I also feel like back then, because the internet wasn't a thing like it is right now, they really thought people weren't going to find out. He already was the president of SAG, could have just sat down and instead chose to be the worst person ever. He literally stated that his acting skills allowed him to learn how to manipulate the public. Sometimes they say the quiet part out loud. Speaking of tragic results of yes men in politics, the There's Your Problem podcast episode about the Smolken air disaster. Content warning, a plane crashes, people died. Interesting. Reagan did this a lot. Anytime something negative would come to light, he would be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He'd be like, that literally wasn't me. He'd be like, you sound fucking crazy. You sound crazy. Like, you literally sound crazy because that wasn't me. That's how he sounded all the time. Siri, play Gaslighter. For real, he's the ultimate gaslighter. So, let's talk about Oliver North. Also, side note, Oliver North is like, I feel like if you asked an alien, like, what does an American look like, they would show you Oliver North. You know what I mean? Or, like, if you asked someone that had been, like, living under a regime who, like, wasn't allowed access to a lot of media, like, I just feel like this is, like, really emblematic of, like, the energy we give off. It's not emblematic of what Americans actually look like, obviously, but this is just, like, our brand. This is our energy. I don't know. I think Oliver North is kind of hot. I was like, it was really deep in my psyche, and I just like shoved it down, and then you said it. Like, I was just like shoving it down, like really far. Because no, that's your toxic trait. It's giving the police, when they find out rapists had access to police textbooks. For real. Okay, so Reagan initially denied it. He ended up retracting it a week later. But anyway, meanwhile, Attorney General Edwin Meese launched an investigation into this. So when it was reported, the Attorney General was like, no, I'm sorry, what? And did an investigation and found that 18 million of the 30 million was unaccounted for. So it's like, where the fuck did the $18 million go? Like, that's not $9. Like, I'm pretty loosey-goosey about money. I don't really care. It's like, whatever. Like, money is whatever. But $18 million is a lot of money to go missing. And then it was Lieutenant Colonel, I always want to say Colonel Oliver North of the National Security Council came forward to acknowledge that he diverted the missing funds to the Contras in Nicaragua, who used them to acquire weapons. So it's like, oh my God, the world is so violent and there's so much conflict. What could we do to help? Give weapons to two different violent groups. Like, give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break. Oliver North, like, just fully said with his chest. He was like, I did that shit. I did it. When Meese finds out $18 million is missing, we got him, boys. Cut to Kyle Richards saying, where is the money? What happened to the money? So did Daddy Reagan know? Oliver North, said he had done so with full knowledge of the National Security Advisor, John Poindexter. He assumed Reagan was also aware of his efforts. I see, if you're Oliver North, like, if this is coming from your boss and that person's boss is the president, why would you assume the president didn't know? Like, that's not how it's supposed to work. So why would you assume that? Like, I would be like, okay. Obviously, I wouldn't be in the CIA or doing any type of job like this, but you get what I'm saying. It's, like, not that far off for him to think that Reagan was fine with it. Reagan did this a lot. He would, like, tell his people, he'd be like, hey, fucking do this shit, figure this shit out, do all this shit. And then when it came out that it happened, he'd be like, my employees did what? Wow. My employees did what? So, yeah. So, the Tower Commission. The American press hounded Reagan over this matter for the rest of his presidency, obviously. The Tower Commission, which the president himself appointed, investigated the administration's involvement and concluded that Reagan's lack of oversight enabled those working under him to divert the funds to the Contras. Are you joking me? Are you joking me? Are you joking me? That's ridiculous. What do you mean his lack of oversight? That's your whole fucking job. You should get in trouble. Like, as a teacher, if kids do stuff in your room, you get in trouble for it. So, like, as the president, when your fucking advisors do illegal shit, you should get in trouble for it. Because it's your fucking job to direct them. So, idle hands are the devil's playground. And if you as the president are not giving your people enough work to do, that they're not so busy that they don't have time to be doing bullshit like this, that's on you. That's on you. That is on you. I definitely thought this stream was going to end with Watergate. I forgot Nixon was a different person. I always think Watergate was Reagan. All the time. It's just so on brand for him. It would be so on brand. You got a Baja Blast? I have not had a Baja Blast in so long. Okay, so during the subsequent congressional investigation in 1987, protagonists in the scandal, including Reagan, testified in the commission hearings that were televised nationally. He said, a few months ago, I told the American people I did not trade arms for hostages. My heart and best intentions still tell me that's true, but the facts and the evidence tell me that it's not. This is giving when, like, your narcissistic boyfriend fucking screams at you and is like, you just make me so angry that you put yourself in these positions to get yelled at with your actions because, like, if you're gonna act that way, obviously I'd have to react this way to you. Like, that's how Reagan sounds. That's how Reagan sounds. Your period's about to start early? That fucking sucks. Okay, so later, independent counsel Lawrence Walsh launched an 8-year investigation in what had become known as the Iran Contra Affair. In all, 14 people were charged, including North, Poindexter, and McFarlane. He literally said, I was right in my heart. Intentions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, you know? The CIA and Reagan have, like... That's one of the most BS statements I've ever heard. I'm kind of offended. Wait, at me or Ronald Reagan? The CIA and Reagan are, like, literally star-crossed lovers. The CIA is Ronald Reagan's main bitch. That's what it is. The CIA is the main bitch. Or is the CIA in love with Ronald Reagan? You know, it's like who has power in that dynamic. The other part of this that I find very ironic is that all of this happened during the war on drugs. Like... That's insane. That's insane. That you're, like, funding this group during the fucking war on drugs. Like, what are you doing? Reagan thought it was giving pussy pop explosion gun noises. OMG, yay, finally made stream. Hi, Melmouse. Rest in peace, the war on drugs. I liked my war on drugs stream. That was a good one. We should do that again. So, funding the war on drugs in America while also supporting drug-dealing contras in Nicaragua because they give you a hard-on against communism. Like, Reagan sees someone murdering people because they're communists, and he's like, that's so fucking sexy, let's give them millions of dollars. You know what I mean? Like, anti-communism is a hooker, and Reagan fell in love. That's what it is. It's like, it's just going to keep asking you for money. It's just going to keep asking you for money and violence, and you're in love. You cannot fall in love. I'm sorry about the word hooker. It's just like from that phrase, you know, obviously sex worker is like the appropriate term. Sorry about that. Please don't cancel me. But Ronald Reagan fell in love. He did. Against communism. And now we all have to suffer for fucking ever. It's because of it. My favorite tweet ever is now the 6 degree to Ronald Reagan thing. This anti-communism is amazing. Let's do some communism to help. He's like, what if we gave free resources to support the communists? Or to support the anti-communists? We need to give them free resources because free resources help. It's not equal. The government they're overthrowing has so much more stuff than them. We have to help them. It's like, do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? You sound crazy. You sound crazy. This is one of my favorite memes ever. That's so Reagan. I think this might be the class, like, thumbnail thing, is that meme. Okay, and the chat of the night. The Iran Contra scandal fallout. Ask not what you can do for communism, but what communism can do for you. So Reagan was never charged. And then Reagan's vice president, George H.W. Bush, became president and then pardoned Weinberger. So, because I think Weinberger was the one that was like, hey, this is a really fucking bad idea. So it, like, kind of sucks that he got charged. So I think it's, like, kind of valid to pardon him. McFarlane was charged with 4 counts of withholding information from Congress. A misdemeanor. A misdemeanor. A misdemeanor. During the time that for, like, this much drugs, they would send you to prison for, like, 20 fucking years. For, like, literally that much. But withholding information from Congress, babe, it's just a misdemeanor. Like, wear this ankle monitor, give us $30. Like, we can leave it in the past. You can still vote. You can still run in elections. Like, it's just a misdemeanor. It's like, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has those days. You know what I mean? Mr. Redacted, you given me a new Twitter bio. What's the Twitter bio? Okay, and then Oliver North was charged with 12 counts relating to conspiracy and making false statements. Although he was convicted, the case was dismissed due to a technicality, and he has since worked as a conservative author, critic, television host, and the head of the NRA. So whoever said he was hot before, this is your man. This is your man. I'm sorry, one of those is so bad, and it's not the ounce of weed for back pain. I can excuse not spilling to Congress, but I draw the line at a dime bag. Anti-communism is a hooker. Ronald Reagan fell in love. Maybe my comment will be the thing of this thumbnail. Maybe. Northwest is the head of the NRA. Okay, so... Oh, fuck, my back hurts. So, Poindexter was initially indicated, I don't fucking know how to read, on 7 felonies and ultimately tried on 5. He was found guilty on 4 of the charges and sentenced to 2 years in prison, although his convictions were later vacated. In addition, 4 CIA officers and 5 government contractors were also prosecuted, although they were all found guilty of charges ranging from conspiracy to perjury to fraud. Only one, private contractor Thomas Kleins, ultimately serves time in prison. So out of all of these motherfuckers, only one served time in prison. And it wasn't even the main guy. He was a private contractor working for a regular company who probably did not have access to the lawyers that everyone else did. Our government is so gross. It is so gross, and I hate it here. I bet it was super low security joint too. Which place? The private contractor? Yeah, so Thomas Kleins was the only one who served in prison. I don't even know who he is or what he did. Federal officials saying we need maximum sentences for a small drug crimes and then committing global crimes that kill countless people, expecting everything to be chill after they say, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Except it will happen again. It will. It will fully happen again. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know my employees did that. And then they just go on TV and then they get to go about their day. And it's no worries. And it's like good vibes only and no one even minds. They're like, we forgive you, friend. We forgive you, bestie. You're forgiven forever. Despite the fact that Reagan promised voters he would never negotiate with terrorists, which he did, or his underlings did, he still left the White House as a popular president. They said, sorry. So we didn't mean to negotiate with the terrorists. We just wanted to help our friends. You understand. When you want to help, when you want to help your friend, but then you accidentally sell $30 million worth of arms to Iran that you have an embargo against, but just because you wanted to help your friends. And, my intention was to help my friends. So, I don't see what the problem is. Because, I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And, I just didn't mean to. It's not my fault that people got their feelings hurt. Because, how... I didn't know. I'm trying to help my friend. That's what they sound like. Reagan. Sorry for selling arms to Iran and funneling money to a drug cartel. I need to stop talking in a baby voice. Or else, a type of man is going to show up here that I don't want here. I need to be conscious of these things as a woman online. As a woman in STEM, our IT guy gets so mad when I say that. It's so funny. I told that to my boyfriend. I was like, haha, our IT guy gets mad when I say I'm a woman in STEM. And he was like, yeah, because he probably really respects women in STEM. And I was like, okay, now I feel like an asshole. I say as I still continue to make the joke. Misredacted, be safe. I'm issuing you a woman in STEM card. Congratulations, you are a woman in STEM. Where was I? Oh, in interviews years later, Walsh, the special counsel tasked with the investigation, said that Reagan's instincts for the country's good were right. So it's even the fucking person prosecuting you have gotten on your side somehow. And implied that the president had difficulty remembering specifics of the scandal due to failing health. Nancy Reagan was our president. Everyone's like, oh, when are we going to have our first woman president? We did. Nancy Reagan. It's not a secret. Not at all. I had to take a gen ed statistics class. I'm counting. Slay girl, yes, give them missiles. Reagan himself acknowledged selling the arms to Iran was a mistake in his testimony before Congress. So my question is, how did you not know? And also, it's a mistake. You know what I mean? I feel like we could have dug a little deeper there. I should have been the one questioning Reagan. This is reminding me of, in the American Crime Story about the O.J. Simpson case where, the police are fangirling over him, so they're not bringing up all the inconsistencies with his story, and then the lawyer is listening to it and is like, wait, did he go get flowers before or after? It wasn't clear. And they were like, oh, we didn't ask. And it's you have one job. You have one fucking job. You have one, literally, you were at that room for one reason. But no, you had to be a little fangirl, Okay, but anyway. However, his legacy among his supporters remains intact, and this affair Iran Contra Affair has been relegated to an often overlooked chapter in U.S. history. Not by us. Not overlooked by us, okay? Not overlooked by us. I want to get rid of this fucking weird thing on this mic. I don't like it, and I don't want it here. Maybe if I twist it around. Oh, that's kind of better. Oh, that's a lot better. Yeah. I don't care if you killed them, but can I get your autograph, please? No, literally. That was the O.J. Simpson investigation. So, again, same meme, but now it's just Reagan and the Republican base. Ronald Reagan could do literally anything. It could come out that Ronald Reagan was, like, eating his staff. Like, that he was consuming them as a cannibal. And the Republican base would be like, the economy never looked better. I think we should all start eating people. Actually, when I imitate a Southern accent, it's fine because I'm from there and I kind of have one. So it's different. You know what I mean? Actual cannibal Ronald Reagan. He could literally blow up New York City and people wouldn't care. It's like when Donald Trump was like, I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and still win. And I was like, I hate that you're right and that you know it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to know that. You're right. You're not wrong, but I don't want you to know that. We hate Jackson in this house, but relationship goals. Okay. So I wanted to give you a general timeline. Sorry, this is literally the ugliest graphic in the world. This was a nearpod activity where you have to put the years in the correct space. So I just screenshotted everything individually and then put it in the right order because when it's like a game, so they put them in the wrong order, and I didn't want to show you this in the wrong order. So 1981, President Reagan signs the NSDD-17, which authorizes a covert operation by the CIA to support the Contras, rebels who were fighting a communist government in Nicaragua. 1984, under the Bolin Amendment, further funding of Contras has been prohibited by Congress. 1985, despite an arms embargo, secret negotiations lead to the sale of weapons to Iran in exchange for the hostages. 1986, money from the sale of the weapons is diverted to the Contras in Nicaragua, and then 1987 is when the investigation happened. So this was not over the course of like a gazillion years. You know what I mean? Like, it was a relatively short timeline that they did this. So that's why they're like, we don't remember, we didn't know. It's like, it wasn't that long ago, you know what I mean? But that's our lesson on it. Now we're going to play a game. Not going to play it on yours. Which one should we do? Which theme? Jungle, sports, space, underwater. What do we want? The sports one has the best music. And carnival? Okay. Carnival, because Reagan's a clown. So, if you want to play the game, put, like, the way to join. Sorry, Carnival was the first one I saw, and Jellyfish Spine has been carrying us tonight. So, anyway, if you want to play the game, I just put the way to join in the chat. But basically, you can go to join.nearpod.com and enter this code, and then you will get trivia questions about what we've learned today. There's no prize. The prize is just bragging rights. Ryan the Butt, what is up? You're just in time for the game. How are you? How are we living? How are we doing? How are we laughing? Oh my God. Feminist Queen 99 on Twitter. I'm obsessed with you. The picture. This makes my day. Y'all have no idea how much this warms my spirit to see shit like this. Like, look at this. Look at what they tweeted. I don't know if you want to put, like, your government name on here, but it's on your Twitter, so I guess it's fine. Look, it's us. Look at us, you guys. Look how cute we look. Do you see how cute we look? We look very cute. Very, very cute. Oh, my God. I love this. I'm obsessed with this. Oh, go back to the code, please. Sorry. Here's how you join the game. That's easier than the chat. It is. I should just start putting it up this way. Imagine if I literally made us a Google Classroom and then, like, made you guys do assignments. I wonder if people would do them. I bet at least 1 or 2 people would, because people like stuff like that. I'll leave the code up for a while, and then we'll play. If you don't want to play the game, still stick around. You'll be able to see the questions and see what people are getting right and wrong, and then we'll still, like, chat and stuff. So even if you don't want to play the game, you can still stay and hang out. Usually most people don't play the game. It's usually only like 10 to 20 brave souls. I would do them. I only know how to participate in academia. That's what I feel. A lot of people like stuff like that. I would be able to grade them, though. Did we see that the reincarnation of the queen is named Malibu Barbie? What? Google Classroom would be fun. Can I count it for PD hours? They Google it and find me, and I'm like... It's a burp. Quite the burp. Okay. There's 7 people on here. Trisha Paytas' baby named Malibu Barbie. Trisha Paytas had her baby? This is why I can't work full time. How did I miss this? Okay, pause. We'll play the game in 1 second. I literally need to quit my job. I cannot be missing stuff like this. I really can't. It's lightning. Trisha Paytas had her baby. That woman is wild. She named her Malibu Barbie. Yeah, do you hear the thunder? I can't believe she named her Malibu Barbie. Oh my god. I'll pretend to be you and take your place at work. Okay, so there's 18 people in the game. I'm going to go ahead and hit start while I look at memes about Trisha Paytas' baby. But before I hit start, I do just want to say, like, that baby's a innocent, regular human being, and, like, don't disrespect babies, but you can disrespect Trisha Paytas, I think. Not in, like, a really aggressive way, but you get what I'm saying. All right, start. I don't know, we can look at these memes. Queen Elizabeth's soul mentoring Trisha Paytas' baby. This is so funny. This is so funny. I learned about Trisha Paytas through frenemies. I knew who she was, but I've never watched her stuff. Like, I've seen it, but I've never been a watcher of hers. You know what I'm saying? Do, 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 do. It's raining so hard. And I need to pick up food, and I don't want to because it's in the rain. I want a sandwich from the sandwich place, but it's raining. Oh, it says it's going to stop in 30 minutes. Maybe I can hold out. Trisha made a TikTok saying she did not give birth, and she sounded offended at the notion. She handled that pretty mature for her. Oh, this rain's not stopping. Awesome. Do people call him Bush Jr.? Wait, who? I looked at my lab mate and said I cannot wait to go on TikTok when the queen died and Trisha had her baby. It was just a rumor, though. She didn't actually have her baby that day. I thought that was true, and I was like, there's no way. And then I looked at her page and saw she didn't say she had her baby, so I was like, this is a rumor. But when I first saw it, I was like, there's no way. There's no way that this is happening right now. We did incredible on the podcast. Thank you. I forgot the podcast got released this week. So I know that we are missing the Monday streams. I'm missing the Monday streams. I'm really hoping my work situation changes to make it more feasible for me to stream more often at different times of the day. I would love that. But how are we feeling about the podcast? If you have not heard, me and Miss Frazzled from TikTok have a podcast together. It's called Teacher Quit Talk, but like talk, like we're talking, TALK. I just put the name in the chat. It is pretty much everywhere. It's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, like it's pretty much everywhere. Google Podcast was giving us a hard time, but Fraz is amazing and figured it out. But I'd love to hear how we're feeling about the podcast if you guys have been listening to it. I know it's very different than my streams, but I'm hoping that you like it. And it makes up for me not streaming on Mondays. Also, our first 2 episodes are kind of short just because we're still learning kind of how to run it. So we cut a lot of footage out. But the 3rd one is much longer. I listened to it today. It's about 49 minutes and we interview another teacher. So I hope that you're enjoying it. Really glad that people are liking it and that the pod is a slay. We love. Oh my god, we're so fast in the game. We're already on question 6. Oh, thank you for leaving a 5-star review. Yeah, if you could review and subscribe to it, apparently that's helpful. I don't really know how that works. Let me look it up on Spotify. I don't have Apple Podcasts. I use Spotify. We also were just interviewed for a different podcast that's like a serious podcast, and I am excited about that too. Oh, we have 4.9 stars. Cool. Someone gave us a 1 star, and Fraz thinks it was my old principal, but I don't know. I don't think he's good enough at technology to figure that out. Do you listen to the Teachers Off Duty podcast? So this is the ironic thing, is that I'm such a little fucking narcissist that I like making content so much more than consuming it. So I don't listen to any podcast. The podcast I like, if it's slow at work, I will listen to Normal Gossip. I really enjoy that one. And if I have a long drive, I'll listen to Small Town Murder. But those are really the only 2 podcasts other than Frenemies. Frenemies, I used to put that on during my planning period, and it really got me through some dark days, if we're being honest. I don't really listen to podcasts, but I like to watch I like to watch podcast clips on TikTok. So I really like the Toast clips, and I really like Teachers Off Duty. Drew's podcast, I've seen hers as well. I like it. I was really impressed when I saw the first step was 30 minutes. I remember you talking about how you talked for several hours. Well, also a lot of it is like me and her hadn't really chatted before, so we kind of got to know each other and got to know each other's vibe, and then we were like, wow, this is unusable. Okay, so Jim Turner in first place, beep boop beep bop, Betty Crocker, Emily, a little bit don't make me read that. A little bit autistic. Non-derogatory. Gas station roller, Ellen not DeGeneres, the Oprah. Let's all give a hand for Ellen not DeGeneres. I wish I had a positive emote. I truly wish I did. Here's a heart. That's good. Everyone for Ellen. Ellen not DeGeneres gave so many subscriptions away on this stream. Thank you so... Oh my God. You literally are Oprah. You said, how can I make it better? How can I level it up? Gave away another 5. That makes, what, 25? You gave away 25 subscriptions. This is so kind, so helpful. Thank you so much. This community applauds you. You are literally an icon. You are a legend. You are the moment. But now I have space for notes and memes. So I'll hang out for a couple more minutes, but thank you all so much for coming. This topic, I want to get like really specific with our topics because I love interacting with you guys, and I don't like when I feel rushed through the lesson. So I experimented a little with this one. I was like, we're going to keep it super small, super simple, super focused, less text, more memes, and I think it was really good. Let me know. I'd love to hear feedback. If we like this, if we like the more heartier, deeper, in-depth stuff, let me know. But yeah. Oh my God. Thank you. That's so nice. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna copy it. I was trying to save it, but it wouldn't work. There we go. I put it in my notes app where my entire life lives. If they ever got rid of the notes app, I would be deeply unwell. Warps would be nice. I like when we look at all the photos. Okay, good. Why Taylor Swift is hated. New emote. Ooh, maybe. But the only thing is the emotes are so small, you wouldn't be able to read it and appreciate it. You know what I mean? I love this. This Reagan meme. Too funny. Thank you all so much for coming, though. I really liked this lesson. I like streaming on Thursdays occasionally. How are we feeling about the schedule switch up? I feel like there's 2 sides of one coin, because I feel like one thing is like people love the stability of being able to count on the same thing every single week. Actually, I just decided I like counting on it every week. I think that's important to people. I was going to say, because I also know Wednesday doesn't work for everybody, and some people like to do it on a Thursday. Ooh, Ellen Not DeGeneres converted from a Prime sub to a Tier 1 sub. Thank you. So I think I'm going to, this is my plan, is that I'm going to keep Wednesdays, and we'll just keep it like this, that if something's going on, occasionally I'll switch to Thursday, but I'm going to try and keep Wednesdays. Could be like Jenna Marble's schedule, Wednesday, sometimes Thursday. Yeah, that's what it is. like Wednesday, but sometimes Thursday. Ooh, you dropped the pic of the Woodstock poster. Oh, it's a 69 one. 2 days, $13. That's wild. That is fucking dope. Oh my god, I saw this meme. Your Majesty, there's a second bus. Another great meme. Loving the memes. Loving, living, laughing, all the things. All right. I'm going to go upload this to YouTube, make a thumbnail. I hope you have, stability helps me. That's what I think. We'll keep doing Wednesdays. Love you so much. I'm going to upload this to YouTube and make my thumbnail. I hope you have a great night. Sleep tight. Love yourself. Love your sister. But thank you for coming. This is the highlight of my week. Every single week. This is where I feel, I was talking about this on the podcast. I feel like I am at the most peace, providing the most value, and doing like what, not to be corny, but like what God intended when I'm teaching history to other people. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to do that. And thank you for being here and for like enjoying this and your time, because like we're here for an hour and 40 minutes. I'm just like really, really grateful. And now I'm about to cry. I'm just like really grateful that people want to listen to me talk about what I love to talk about for that long on their weeknights, and like want that to be a part of their life. I don't know why I'm crying in the club right now. Like, this is actually really embarrassing. But I just am really, really grateful for it, because I know a lot of people wish they had this, but you can't all be the it girl, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, have a good night. Love you, TTYL. See you on Wednesday. Oh, wait, we forgot. Let's go through what my new ideas are. So these are my other ideas for streams. So one is the cocaine trade, like we talked about. You guys asked for another Dust Bowl one. I want to do that. And then the anthrax attacks. I don't know anything about the anthrax attacks. And then also, I want to do one about like, so y'all don't even know how the U.S. government has such a fucking hard-on for milk and for corn, and how much money goes to milk and corn. And like, our country grows way more corn than we need, and our government just buys it and stores it. Isn't that wild? So I think I kind of want to start. And the cheese. Exactly. That was the milk. The milk is the cheese. It's related. Exactly. Corn stream. And then my other idea is the 2000 election, because Bush stole that fucking election from Al Gore. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that, because I think it's really interesting, and I never learned about it in school. And I think it's like kind of slimy. Okay. Those are my ideas. Glad we're into it. Have a good night. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Sorry I almost cried. Love you. Night night.